Cheers. It's good. Anyways, today I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on this book. It's called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I don't think I'm saying that right. Ruiz. Anyhow, this is what he looks like. Looks like a happy man. We can only hope to be that happy. Anyhow, this book, I would rate a 7 out of 10. And no dissing. That's not a diss to this book or this writer. It's just because other things the book has in it for like advice, I feel like I'm already kind of doing it. So it's like, if you're already in a good place in life, this book isn't gonna tell you that much more.
And I really wasn't meaning that in like an ignorant way. I was meaning it more in a way like this is more of a fundamental book. Like this is the beginnings of changing your life and bettering yourself. So like I said, fundamentals. If you're already past that, then maybe you should try a different book, but it's a really good start.
I do know a lot of times in my life where this book would have been very, 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 very helpful. And if you're just getting into spirituality and trying to make a difference in your life, and you just started to be self-aware and just started to want to do better in your life, and you're coming out of a really hard place, or you're still in a very hard place, I feel like this book is going to help a lot of people start to make a change, and has a lot of interesting ideas. And like I said, a lot of the things in this book I feel like I'm already doing, but it's very interesting how even though I'm already doing these things, I don't really know why I'm doing these things that are good for you or that make your life better. This really broke it down for me. It's like I'm already doing this and this, but I don't know why I'm doing this. I just thought that was the right way. This breaks it down and tells you why you should be doing certain things, and I really like that because I like things to be broken down and simplified. Obviously, who doesn't? I don't like when things are confusing. Even if you're not trying to better your life, you just came across this video or you just stumbled across this book and you don't even have any ideas of how to change your life or anything, I think it's just a good book to live by, and a good a lot of good advice. Not just advice, but agreements. So the first little bit of the book is just talking about the Toltec, which is a culture or a tribe, an ancient tribe that are based around the southern part of Mexico a long time ago. Doesn't really give a date, but just kind of briefly mentions them, and mentions that the Four Agreements are inspired by their way of life and their thinking. Very interesting how very ancient tribes in our world do seem to have some very, very, very deep knowledge and wisdom. That was interesting. And then it gets to chapter 1, and it talks about domestication of the planet. He was saying, in my opinion, is that in a way we've all been domesticated by society because they put thoughts of what's normal into our brains from a young age. You know, get married, have children, you know, have a stable life, have a home, which are all great things. I don't think he's trying to say that those are bad things per se, but you know, it's basically left us with a small window of how we can dream, how we can think, and what is okay to dream about. By us being domesticated, we can't really dream to the full extent that we should be able to. And what I find very interesting is a lot of the time he references being like a child, and that's what I like about this book, is it does reference a lot to being children, and like making connections of, oh, children are like this. I don't know if he's trying to say we should be more childlike, but there is definitely things about children that are very, very innocent, very, very pure, and very, very happy. So I think in a way we should be more childlike, and I think some of the things he's getting at in this book, he's trying to say that as well. But if you think about a child is not, like, at a very young age, they're not domesticated. They come out how they are, dreaming, thinking, and not being imposed by all these things. And as they start growing up and as they start living in society, obviously society puts an impression on them and tells them basically what they can dream, how they should dream, how they should be, how they should act, and it leaves an imprint on us, and we're not really freely allowed to be who we are, because we've been told that there's only a small window of what we should be. And that's what I got, like, I guess from the first chapter. And it's kind of a simple thought, but it's very interesting. And he's basically, I don't know, he's basically saying he knows the ways, or has an idea of how we can live to set us free from this domestication that basically how society has imprinted us and domesticated us. He's saying that if you live by these 4 agreements, you will be able to undo the domestication and undo all the bad things that society has basically pushed on us, which is what I'm getting from the book. Once again, don't take my exact word on it. This is just what I'm getting from it. 2 people can read the same book and have a whole different experience. Both have a whole different experience. And what I find interesting about reading is that certain things will really, really stick out to you, and then to another person, something completely different will stick out to them for the same book. This is just what I'm getting. Maybe if I stop rambling, that'd be great. So, the first agreement is to be impeccable with your word, which is very simple. All the agreements are very simple, but it's broken down pretty good. It can get a little repetitive in my opinion, but that's what some people need to really, really hammer it in their head. And also, like I said, it breaks it down, so it's always good to break things down instead of just telling you to be some way and not letting you know why. But this book has a little bit of an ode to, like, a little bit to Christianity, and I'd say the law of attraction, which is manifestation. It has a little bit to do with that, but not much. It's its own complete thing that it has going for it. But it does have a little bit of an ode, or a little bit of an essence of that in it. And the first agreement, be impeccable with your word, he's basically talking about why it's important to be very careful about what you say to yourself and what you say to other people. And that the word impeccable actually comes from a Latin word meaning without sin. So what he's trying to say is use your word without sin. And I guess that's kind of an ode once again to the Bible. We're talking about sin. But what the idea is that talking about people in a bad way is not good for you. And the funny part about this is I've read this in the Bible, I've read this in a couple of other books, and they all have their own reasons. But one of the things that are said in all these books is that we really should be careful about how we talk about other people, and talking negatively and spreading gossip is actually more hurtful to us and hurtful to other people more than we think. And we do it so often and so carelessly because, once again, like the idea in the first chapter is society teaches us that this isn't okay way to live life. Talking about other people, gossiping. You're upset at this person, so you might not even be fully conscious of it, but it's bothering you, so you're going to say something to somebody about that person who's bothering you or something they're doing. And what he's trying to say, I think, is that society taught us this bad way of gossiping, and that the only way we're going to be able to be better people and live a happier life and have a better perspective is if we stop talking down about people so easily and stop talking down about ourselves to ourselves so easily. He says that once you stop talking bad about other people, you'll be able to stop talking so bad about yourself. And obviously this kind of relates back to like the law of attraction. Like, you see the good in people, you start seeing the good in everything, you start seeing the good in yourself, you forgive other people, you can start forgiving yourself. Like, it all kind of, seems like he's trying to make it, all come full circle. He talks about being impeccable with your word. He's not just talking about gossip or the way you talk to yourself. He's also talking about direct communication. You have to be careful about how you directly talk to people. You have to be choosy with your words, because you can say things and hurt people, obviously. But one thing he relates this to, which is very interesting, because I always thought kind of in the back of my head that this is true, and that is that words are so powerful that you can put spells on people, black magic spells on people, without even realizing it. And we're not talking about rituals or having a black magic book. We're talking about the words we say to people that stick in their minds and cause them grief for long periods of time, or makes them have a false reality of the truth. And he used this example of a mother and a daughter. The mother is very, very tired. She's upset. She just wants to relax. The daughter, being a child, does not know or is not aware that her mother is very, 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 very tired. And she starts singing very loudly. And the mother snaps on her, saying, "Your voice is terrible. I just want there to be quiet," or yells something like that. And the daughter is going to possibly go the rest of her life thinking that she has a terrible voice because her mother told her that, and she was very, very adamant about it because she was angry. In reality, the daughter's voice wasn't bad. It's just that her mother's tolerance for noise that day was 0. So obviously her emotions got the best of her and she said something, but now her daughter's gonna go the rest of her life thinking that her voice sounds bad because of that one black spell that her mom basically put on her. Did her mom mean to put it on her? No. Might her mom ever know that her daughter's now gonna feel insecure every time she goes to sing again? Maybe not, because she was having a bad day and we humans have bad days, So basically he's saying, don't forget that your words can really stick to people and change their reality like a black magic spell for the rest of their lives. And he also says our communication power is one of the most powerful tools we humans have, so we should use it as a power and be responsible with it. Like Spider-Man. Just kidding. Anyways, I think I've really, really kept going with that first agreement because it's one of the most interesting ones to me, and the fact that he related it with black magic is very interesting. Going through. He also says, when you start doing the first agreement, talking well to other people, using your word impeccably to yourself when you're speaking to yourself, use your word impeccably behind people's backs, no gossiping, keep it nice, keep it light, keep the power or the magic white magic, not black magic. Let's not be negative. Let's not put spells on people. Let's be positive. The sooner your life will start to change. And he also says that our mind is like a garden, and our minds are very fertile, and certain ideas put seeds in our heads, and we need to make sure our head is fertile for the right seeds, the right ideas, and the right words. He also says that gossip is like poison, and every time someone gives you their opinion about someone, take it with a grain of salt, because some opinions are like poison, because once we take in the information that that person has given us, it puts a blinder or an illusion on how we see things. And you should go into situations with no outside information, and you should be able to go into situations with a clear mind, a clear view, so you can make your own decisions on things. And a lot of the time that's not what happens, because people give us opinions, and it could be negative opinions, and we go into that and we have their words in the back of our heads, and it can skew how we view something. He used an example of like someone's excited for a class, and then someone says, oh, I took that class last year, it was horrible, this teacher sucks, he was a weirdo. And now you go into that class and you're a little less excited, and also now your view is a little skewed by this opinion, and you might kind of give your teacher the side eye, when in reality we don't know why your friend told you that, or that person told you that negative poison opinion. We don't know. It could be because that person failed and now they're mad and they just want to talk shit to make themselves feel better. Excuse my language. But that's what he's saying, is he's basically saying don't gossip, don't put ideas into people's heads that aren't theirs, that are negative, and don't also take in gossip and information just on like the basis that it's true, because you never know. We should go into things with open eyes, and people are innocent until proven guilty. It's late and I'm getting tired, but I'm still gonna finish because I'm a trooper and I've been planning on doing this video for a while now. So, next agreement. So the next agreement, chapter 3, would be don't take anything personally. And I'm not going to talk as long as I did for the first agreement, because this one didn't stick out to me as much as some of the other agreements. It's basically what it means. It's basically what it says. Don't take anything personally, because the sentence don't take things personally is a very simple sentence, but once again we can always leave it up to Don to break it down a little more and throw his 2 cents in there and make it a little more interesting, which is why we love him. Honestly, an aware king. This one, this chapter, this agreement, to me this was very straightforward, so I don't have that many notes on it. But he basically is saying don't take things personally, because by taking things personally we assume that everything is about us, and that everything is very targeted and revolves around us by taking things personally. And it doesn't. It really doesn't. And then another thing we have to realize is, once again, going back to the domestication of people, a lot of opinions that people have that you may not agree with, or opinions that they have of you have to realize that also comes from society's domestication and the imprint it's left on them. You know, like the domestication of, oh, that's not right, that's not how they should do it. That has, some of these ideas have been imprinted on them, which it's not really their fault. It's just what has society has told them, or what has came through society to them, and what they are making sense of society's rules, I guess. So that's basically saying they only can work with what they've been taught, and some people have been taught certain opinions that may not align with yours, and we shouldn't take that personally, because it's sometimes really not people's faults. And
a really good example of this would be how society has so many different religions, and from a young age, a lot of people are forced into these religions by their parents. So at that point, is it really their fault that they're being pressured into all these ideas and all these religions at such a young age? I don't think so.
If we stop taking things personally, we can live in a happier world where we're not mad at people and we let things go easier. And that's a very great quality to have, because we don't need to hold on to this hate. We don't need to hold on to vendettas. We don't need to hold on to anything like that. And I actually really agree with this. I think, honestly, not taking things personally is one of the best things. And I'm not trying to be cocky here, but I already have been trying to be very impeccable with my word, and I've already, for real, this has changed my life, have been not trying to take things personally, because once you do that, your life becomes way better and you're able to let go of things, and that's so fucking amazing. Okay. Oh, another good thing is speaking of not taking anything personally, also another good point he makes is when people are telling you things that are offensive, or even not telling you things that's offensive, even telling you good things. It really doesn't matter what people are telling you. If people are telling you something, you shouldn't have to just believe what that person says, because at the end of the day, people lie to themselves all the time. So how can you expect people to tell you the truth if they're already lying to themselves? And that's such a good point, and I really love that, because people do lie to themselves. So if they're lying to themselves, they can't be telling you the truth. How does that make any sense? And he also goes back to the black magic idea. He's saying if you get good with disagreement, which is not taking anything personally, people's black magic and bad words won't be able to affect you. You'll basically be like fucking Harry Potter and be able to like drop their words and just forget about it. And honestly, that's true. The less you take things personal, the more you realize that people just say shit to say shit sometimes, and it might not even be true, and it might just be from their point and perspective, which isn't very wide, which means that it's not even based in reality anyways, and everyone's reality is in their head anyways. So what is reality? I think I went too far there. I gotta calm the fuck down. I get like jumbled, but yeah, it's the ADD and the ADHD all combined, making a stew of ideas and thoughts just swirling around in my head, not able to focus on one. It becomes a mesh. Just kidding, I'm done, I'm sorry. And he also says, if you stop taking things personally, not just good words, but also bad words, and not just bad words, good words, that means you'll stop relying on people to tell you what's true. You'll rely more on yourself to know what's true, if that makes sense. So he's saying, like, you don't have to listen to people, their compliments or their insults. Stop relying on people to tell you you're good at something. Stop relying on people to tell you you're bad at something. Rely on yourself to tell yourself what the truth is. You know? Okay. I'm over it. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. Which is very good. It's a good one. Don't make assumptions. Fourth agreement. Let's get into it a little. So this is just good advice for relationships. Well, it's good advice in general, but in relationships, it's very important that you stop making assumptions. Like, I do this a lot, so this is one thing I gotta work on is expecting your loved ones to read your mind. They might know you very well, but they don't know you as much as you think sometimes, you know? And another thing is, your mind is always changing, and you're always evolving a little, if you're anything like me. So how can you expect them to know exactly what you're thinking all the time when you don't even know what you're going to be thinking in the next couple of days, or you don't even know what you're thinking in the moment, you know? People can't read your mind. And people don't want to read my mind because, like I said, pudding of thoughts and ideas swirling around in a weird stew. No one would make sense of it. I can't even make sense of it. Anyways, I guess I'm not being impeccable with my word because I'm kind of like talking down on myself. So I guess this book is teaching me some things, and maybe I should stop being so mean to myself. I don't know. Anyways, don't make assumptions. The less we make assumptions, the more we actually have to ask people what the actual truth is. Because the less we guess, the more we are made to figure it out by actually directly communicating, which makes sense. And this is better for us because the more we directly communicate, we're not leaving it up to the imagination to run wild and tell us and make us sometimes overthink about things that aren't even possibly true. We actually get our answer directly there, and we don't have to think about it and sit around. You know, we can actually just get the answer, and he says that we should get good at this. We should be good at directly communicating with people and asking questions instead of just assuming. And yeah, I don't know, it seems like each agreement, the further you go, got more, not vague, but less information. It just seems like every agreement just got like more straightforward, which I'm okay with that. Like, let's be straightforward. Just say what you need to say, boo-boo, and then we move on. Like, we don't need a shit ton of points, but he does break it down quite a lot. He does break down each point a lot. He does have a lot of ideas, and I don't know if he has ADHD, but it really seems like these ideas are very abstract at points, but simple at the same time, but interesting at the same time. It's like, how did you create this book with that many characteristics? I don't know. Next agreement, the fourth agreement, and the final agreement is do your best. Always do your best, sorry. And this one, once again, is short and sweet. Always do your best because, well, first of all, he says your best is always changing. And he acknowledges that. He says your best isn't always going to be the same every day because sometimes you're sick, sometimes you don't feel good, sometimes you overslept, sometimes you underslept. You know, your best is always changing. But if you always strive for it, your best, then you're never going to be mad at yourself because at the end of the day, you did your best, and that's that. And you know, you didn't do over your best because over your best is going to make you tired. Under your best is going to make you feel guilty. You just did your best, you know? Also, he ends on the last agreement on a very good idea, saying basically that don't expect yourself to just all of a sudden be good at all these agreements. Just do your best. Like, do your best to follow these agreements, which is kind of full circle because do your best for all the agreement, which is the last agreement. But you know, just do your best. And he doesn't expect you, and you shouldn't expect yourself, to just all of a sudden adopt all these ideas and all of a sudden be good with everything. No gossip, talking good to yourself. It's a work in progress. Just do your best every day to try to do these agreements and live by them, and your life will improve. Like I said, I feel like I'm already doing some of these agreements. I didn't know why I was doing it. I just thought, oh, you shouldn't gossip because gossiping's bad. I never took the time to really break down why you shouldn't gossip. And I like how he did that. Like, this is why you shouldn't gossip. And like, it literally kind of breaks it down. So then you're like, oh, okay, now I know why I do that. Even though it was kind of in my subconscious not to gossip, because you hear it from different books. You hear it from the Bible. You hear it from different religions. Buddhism, talk good about people. And you'll start talking good about yourself. But I like how he broke it down a little more and told you why you should do these things. And anyways, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, chapter 6 is going to be breaking old agreements, which is kind of tying back to the first chapter about the Toltecs, the domestication of the world. It's kind of going back to the first chapter before the agreements. And then in the middle of the book, like I said, it's the agreements he's talking about and breaking them down, and those are very direct. I feel like the first chapter is very abstract, as well as this breaking old agreements chapter is kind of more abstract. And abstract's not bad, but I feel like when something is abstract, just like abstract art, the ideas are very broad and you can take them in a lot of different ways because they're not exactly broken down as much as, I don't know, somebody would like, but you know, they're still interesting. So breaking old agreements, he's talking about, once again, that we've made different agreements with ourselves already, and we have to work on breaking these agreements. Like blaming people for things is an agreement apparently a lot of us has made, like blaming our parents for things. We shouldn't blame our parents for things. He also talks about, once again, how society has kind of taught us that it's normal to be in pain. It's normal to be upset. It's normal. The human existence is pain. It's normal to be sad. But he doesn't agree with this. He thinks that this is something society has taught us is okay. But humans aren't meant to be sad. He thinks that we're meant to be happy. And fear is one of the agreements that we've made with ourselves, and it holds us back from a lot of good things in our life. One of the very last ideas that he makes is that, tying back into being childlike, children, they live in the moment, and he says that we should live in the moment more like before we were domesticated and before we were taught what we should dream or not. We should be, in some ways, more like children, not worried about the past, not worried about the future, but focused on now. And he also talks a lot about fear, and how fear is one of the things that make us feel like we need to know the future and we need to be thinking about the past. But he says that we should stop letting fear, which is one of the agreements, our old agreements that we told ourselves, is something that we need to be scared of. And we need to be thinking about. We should just live our life more freely. And then once we slowly start taking on these agreements, he says that we'll start be living like heaven on earth. But yeah, honestly, I don't know how long I've been talking for, but I'm starting to get tired now. So I wonder. Like I said, it was a pretty good book. I tried to break it down as much as I could for you guys, not in a way where I'm rereading the book, but just telling you what I took from it. And like I said, I rated it a 7. I'd say I'd rate it higher, and I know there's points in my life where this book would have came in a lot of handy, very handy, but I might have rated it even higher in those times where I really needed this. But I'm at a point in my life where, like I said, I'm already doing a lot of these things that this book says, and so it was a little less helpful for me. And obviously, more perspective the better, so that's good. But yeah, I really do think that you should try this book. And you know what? It's a quick read. It took me, like, if I really hunkered down and just read this, it honestly would have took me probably 2 days, 3 days. If I hunkered down and just read it non-stop, I could have read it in probably 2 days. So it's not a huge read. It can help you out. And why not, right? The more information, the more help, the better. That's how I look at it. But I do have a couple other books in relation to this book. I think I have like 2 more of these books, and you know what, I'm going to read them and review them, because like I just said, the more help, the better. It doesn't matter how much you think you know. You don't know everything. Anyways, that's my first YouTube video. Born on a Friday night. Friends dipped on me. Friends ditched me. So, decided to make my first YouTube video. And I just think that this might be, fun. And I will read more. More trippy things. More spiritual things. More very weird books. And I can't wait to share my opinions and my ideas about them. And little quotes and tidbits, and hopefully I'll get better at this, because I don't think this went bad, but I don't particularly think this went good. Anyways, peace out.